Tonight on Denver7 News at 10, a rescue plan for a struggling economy.
There is real pain overwhelming the real economy.
President-elect Biden lays out priorities for pandemic relief.
Immediate relief to Americans hardest hit and most in need.
Direct payments, boosted unemployment benefits, a ban on evictions. We're breaking down what Joe Biden's plan could mean for your family.
We're down 10 million jobs because of COVID. I mean, that's a serious recession.
The help badly needed is COVID death spike in our country. And now some are questioning if we need to switch the focus to ramp up vaccine distribution.
The ideas are very intriguing to potentially get more vaccine out to more people more quickly.
Tonight, we're taking a 360 look at whether Colorado should focus on double doses or push out single-dose vaccines to more people.
Good evening and welcome to Denver7 News at 10. I'm Shannon Ogden.
And I'm Ann Trujillo. Thanks for joining us. Tonight we're getting a clearer picture of how President-elect Joe Biden hopes to steer the nation through the next few months of this pandemic.
We're breaking down the Biden economic plan, how it aims to help families with things like direct payments, rental assistance, and is it worth the enormous cost? The plan's rollout comes as COVID deaths surge in the United States. We need to get more people vaccinated. So is it time to change plans to make that happen? In our coverage tonight, we're going to take a 360 look at the pros and cons of temporarily ditching double doses in favor of giving out more shots.
So first, let's dig into President-elect Biden's plan. It puts a heavy focus on helping struggling families and small businesses rebound. As Denver7's Eddie Guajardo reports, economists say a boost now could help our economy recover much more quickly, but it all comes with a huge price tag.
President-elect Joe Biden addressed struggling Americans, hoping to inject a sense of hope and relief in a ravaged economy.
The crisis of deep human suffering is in plain sight, and there's no time to waste. We have to act, and we have to act now.
He's proposing the American Rescue Plan, an ambitious $1.9 trillion relief package.
We're still 10 million jobs short. So we need another rescue plan.
Jack Strauss, an economics professor at the University of Denver, says it's vital to get this plan approved to boost our economy.
This will create jobs. This will help our economy recover faster. And if we don't borrow, we're going to grow much slower, and it'll take years to recover.
More than $1 trillion of the $1.9 trillion relief plan will aid struggling families with rent, food, and put cash in their pockets. Most Americans will receive a $1,400 stimulus check. That, combined with the $600 already paid out, creates a grand total of $2,000. Money that will grow our local economy.
They spend it on rent, they spend it on food, trips to Safeway and Walmart, and maybe the mall, right? It will help out struggling businesses.
The plan also calls for an extension to the federal unemployment benefits, an additional $400 per week. The current plan is set to expire this spring and is only offering a $300 weekly bonus. There's also billions set aside for small businesses, state and local governments, and an increase in tax credits for low and middle income families.
Many at risk of eviction. If we don't act now, there'll be a wave of evictions and foreclosures in the coming months.
President-elect Joe Biden also proposed a $15 an hour federal minimum wage.
I'm actually for raising the minimum wage. I think 15 probably, to be honest, is too high. I think $12 may be fair.
His overall take on the relief package?
But I rate the package a B, and certainly for Washington, a B is like an A.
Now, the plan still has to go through Congress, so it's unclear when you'll see those stimulus checks. In the meantime, President-elect Joe Biden tomorrow plans to unveil a new plan on vaccinations and how he will get 100 million shots into the arms of Americans in his first 100 days. Reporting live, Eddie Guajardo, Denver7.
Eddie, thanks. And that stimulus package could be weeks away, but in the meantime, many Colorado businesses are struggling with tight capacity limits today. And today, state health leaders approved Denver for the 5-Star program that allows businesses to boost capacity if they meet higher standards for things like ventilation, symptom screening, exposure reporting. But here's the tricky part. That can't happen yet. Case numbers are just too high in Denver. So the city plans to start pre-certifying businesses now so they can take advantage of the higher capacity just as soon as the case numbers fall below 350 per 100,000 people in the city. Right now, we are about 520 per 100,000 people.
Coronavirus case numbers in Colorado are pretty stable right now. The number of people hospitalized because of the virus is around 900. That's about 50 fewer people hospitalized than this time last week. Of course, it is a different story across the nation. More than half of all states are reporting an increase in the 7-day average of deaths. 1 in every 858 Americans has now died from the virus. And the CDC predicts we could see nearly 98,000 more deaths by February 6th.
Well, we can keep the virus at bay with masks and hand washing, social distancing, but to end this pandemic, we're banking on widespread vaccination. And tonight, a setback in that effort. 165 doses of the vaccine in Colorado ruined. Power outages. Kaiser Permanente's Lakewood office. The company says the refrigerator used to store the doses, is back online now and is working properly. So far, more than 220,000 Coloradans have gotten their first dose. Nearly 47,000 have received the second.
As soon as the first coronavirus vaccine was approved, the debate began on who should be first in line for the shot. Well, now the debate seems to be shifting. Should you be guaranteed 2 shots, or is it better to give everybody 1 shot first?
Denver7's Russell Haythorne tonight takes a 360 look at the facts and the opinions.
The vaccine's arrival in Colorado last month, rightly celebrated, but the rollout here and in other states, chaotic, messy, and frustrating, especially for higher-risk Coloradans trying to get the vaccine.
So there seems to be quite a bit of confusion out there in terms of the availability and the timing.
As the state continues to iron out those issues, some have suggested we can achieve greater immunity by, quote, spreading out the vaccine. For example, instead of giving 2 doses 3 to 4 weeks apart, as recommended, perhaps waiting as many as 12 weeks to give the second dose to lower risk individuals like those 18 to 55 years old, or even half doses to those individuals. We're going 360, taking those questions to experts here in Colorado.
The ideas are very intriguing to potentially get more vaccine out to more people more quickly.
And that is what has been proposed in the United Kingdom.
Scientifically rigorous review.
Let's start there. Yes, the UK, for example, is now suggesting a second dose at the end of 12 weeks. But Dr. Thomas Campbell, Chief Clinical Research Officer for UC Health, explains that's the AstraZeneca vaccine, different from what's approved in the U.S.
It might work, but we don't know with Pfizer and Moderna whether it works.
As he explains, 2-dose and even 3-dose vaccines are very common. The hepatitis B vaccine, for example, is given 3 times, day 0, 1 month, and 6 months.
The body's immune system tends to respond much better the second time than the first time, and it develops higher antibody levels.
There is a 1-dose COVID vaccine being developed right now by Johnson & Johnson.
It's expected that the data from their phase 3 trial will become available later this month.
Clearly, that's preferable. But the downside is it's taking much longer for that vaccine to be developed. Whereas the mRNA technology is available quicker, it's available now.
Dr. James Knight is the head of infection control at the Medical Center of Aurora. He says it's simply too early to know if spreading out the doses of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines would reduce their effectiveness.
If you try to extrapolate the data from the Pfizer study and the Moderna study, there is suggestion that a single dose will have some lasting immunity. However, we just don't know.
Dr. Knight says changing course too soon or too often could erode public trust in the vaccine and the system.
There are already a lot of well thought through models to suggest that this is a potentially good idea. That, to me, is the biggest risk of changing tack too quickly.
Dr. Campbell agrees, especially given the limited data available about waiting for longer intervals between doses.
Being we're in the middle of a raging pandemic, as you expand that time interval between the two, there's more of a chance for someone to be exposed and get infected while not having complete high-level immunity.
So the debate continues, which both of these doctors believe is healthy.
Nobody's entrenched on one set pattern for the future.
It could well be that the approach that we're using now will be modified.
Russell Haythorne, Denver7.
And we want to hear from you. What is your take on this vaccine rollout plan? Email us 360@thedenverchannel.com.
There's a lot of information to process right now about the vaccine, we know, and we've got answers to some of your most pressing questions. So head over right now to thedenverchannel.com/vaccines for the details.
Of course, we know the coronavirus has hit our Colorado seniors particularly hard.
And if you're 101 years old, chances are you're pretty excited to get that shot.
We're getting a vaccine today.
A vaccine?
Yes.
That's right. Amanda Anderson was the first person to get the vaccine at the Cambridge Care Center in Lakewood. If your math skills are good, you've probably figured out Amanda was alive for the last global pandemic as well, the Spanish flu outbreak in 1919.
Just think, you've lived long enough to keep well and to live through 2 of these pandemics. Isn't that wonderful?
Amanda's family members say they're looking forward to more visits with her very soon and say she continues to inspire everyone around her.
Coming up on Denver7 News at 10, an official-looking letter about an unemployment claim you never filed.
First, I called up my boss to say, hey, am I still working? You got something to tell me?
One man is contacting Denver7 with a warning for you as the state takes action on unemployment fraud.
Wild winds continue, especially over northeast Colorado. What to expect as we head toward the weekend.